Good morning. It is 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, and I am excited to be here today. And the question that I have for you is, are you doing what it takes to be able to grow your business in your life? So the stand I want to take for you right now and today is I want to prove to you that you do have the endurance to be able to create whatever that big dream is for this year, this month, this week on your plate, even if you've been thinking about it for a long time. So yesterday I get this call from our nanny, and we're having this conversation, and she says, one of our community, one of our clients had reached out to her and said, hey, at Shanda's content fulfillment event, which means that I've got an event for our clients where we're teaching them how to create great content for online, for their websites, for their live events, things like that. And so we're leading this event for them. And one of our clients calls my nanny and says, are you going with Shanda's son, and can I share a room with you? And I love the ambition of this committed young lady. Her ambition is, I'm going no matter what my bank account looks like. I'm going to figure it out. And that's an endurance tactic that you must have as an entrepreneur. You've got to have this mentality of, I know that maybe my bank account doesn't say what my dreams require, but I'm going to figure out a way of making that happen. And I'm not like blowing smoke into the ethers right now. That never goes away as an entrepreneur. You may make more money, but that tactic or that skill set that you need to be able to grow your life, your resources rarely ever meet up with the qualifications of what your dreams or your next goal is. So I love the ambition, right? So this woman has got her head screwed on right. She calls our nanny up. She's like thinking, she's being creative. She's like, knows that normally I bring my nanny and my son to our masterminds, and she could share a room with her. Well, the truth is my son's getting older, and he really doesn't need to be right next to me all the time. It's actually better for him to be at school right now. And so my nanny is letting her know that, unfortunately, Shanda doesn't have us at the hotel this event, but why don't you ask some more people in the group and see if they would share a room with you? So here's what my point is. Sometimes when you have a great idea and you start executing that great idea, it's like, boom, the wall closes in front of you, right? Like, have you ever experienced that? The wall just like goes, boom, it closes in front of you. You're like, oh, that felt crappy. Like, that was such a good idea, and it just stopped. And so now what? And so here's what you absolutely must ingrain inside your mind is that expect a no. Expect a no in sales. Expect a no from your new ideas. Expect things not to work out. Like, actually expect that to happen at least 2 times. So the challenge that I'm seeing is that often people get hurt or they get discouraged way too quick. You need to increase your endurance. Your endurance has got to be high, that when something doesn't work out, you just let it go and keep going. It's nothing personal. I was reading some analytics yesterday, and there was some analytics about this. Okay, I'm not a sports fanatic at all, so bear with me here. But it was an NFL player who had basically like one of the best NFL players in all history. I know somebody knows who this is. You're probably going to post it, right? Anyway, they showed his statistics around actually being able to throw the football and have a completed pass. And 63% of the time, this athlete threw a completed pass. That meant that like 40-something% of the time he failed. And I don't know why that just kind of hit me, because I think often we think, wow, when I fail, this isn't working out, or I've been at this for a long time and this just isn't working out. And I thought about my last year in business. And then I thought about the year before in business. I was like, I've really failed at a lot of things. I've failed at a lot of things in the recent near future, right? But I didn't attach to it. And I know that is through experience. I know that's through just the art of not the art of receiving, but the art of survival. In order to survive as an entrepreneur, you have to endure You have to get strong at endurance because you often try things that don't work. You know, for many, many years, I tried to find a husband and it didn't work. For many, many years, you know, I tried to build a business and made $2,000 in an entire year, but still had to pay a mortgage, right? Or rent, because I lost my houses. I chose to let my houses go to build my business and go into foreclosure. Like, there's a lot of moments of failure in success. And so I just want you to recognize that, you know, whatever you're facing right now, please don't show up like a loser. A loser will tell themselves inside their head, which I'm not calling anybody a loser. So know that that is never my intention. So, but we have these loser thoughts, right? And these loser thoughts are things like, I'm never going to make it. Or I've been at this for a long time and nothing's come together. Or I made a mistake and I gave advice to someone and they didn't succeed, right? And so it's time for you to disconnect from the things that you fail at in a way that realize that all those things create your experience. And you never get to win the race or gain the wisdom or the expertise. All you moms and dads know this. If you've raised children, and you have 20, 30, 40-year-old children, you know a lot more about me because I've only been raising my son for 2.5 years, right? And so you've endured the art of parenthood, and you've gained a lot of wisdom through everything you've done wrong. You gain so much more out of what you do wrong than you do right. So now let me put this into application for a business. When you're, let's say, trying to sell, you've got maybe you're sending out emails, or you're posting on social media, or you're doing lives like this to actually sell. You know, you're going to find that, like, maybe you do a live like this and nobody shows up. Like right now we have 180 people right now watching us at 6 a.m. Right? And, you know, yesterday we had 6,000 people over the day watch us, watch My Coffee with Shanda in the morning. Do you know that when I started, there was like 20? There was 20 when I started. And I already have a big platform of people who follow me, right? And so, you know, I have clients who could start a Facebook Live and have 100 or 50 or 60. They could actually start stronger than me. Does that mean that they're stronger than me because they can do a Facebook Live and get more people on it at the beginning? No, stop comparing yourself. Stop comparing yourself. You know, you're like, some people are better at things than you are. You'll get better. You just have endurance. You keep doing it. Do the same thing long enough to be successful. Don't give up too early. And realize that you're going to at least get 2 walls, 2 no's, 2 disappointments before something's going to work. In some cases like mine, I have worked years on one project, like a year to 2 years on one project to just get it to come together and work, or find the right people to be able to fit the mold and work. And so what I can tell you is, if you pay attention to your gains, if you pay attention to what actually worked every time you failed, then hold on to those and change the parts that failed and try again. What's going to happen is the whole thing's going to come together for you. So I'm going to go back to my nanny, for a second. Excuse me. I'm going to have a sip of my tea in my You've Got This cup. But I'm going to go back to my nanny for a second. She said to me, this is what she said to me about my client. She said, I also love her ambition. And when I met you, Shanda, she was a live-in caretaker for an older man who she just adored, who was bedridden. She was working at night as a waitress. She went to my zone event and ended up asking me to nanny my child when my child was in my tummy. She ended up coming to work for me. Then she ended up going into our PACE club to build her email list and build her business. And she did all of this while juggling a schedule like that. And she said, I said, how did you do it, Kate? And she said, I gave up Netflix. I gave up happy hour. I gave up some time with my friends. And she built something extraordinary. And I'm happy to tell you that she's making 6 figures 2.5 years later after knowing this woman when she started with me. So my point is that There's many people who've been in business for a long time and they're not making six figures. There's people that are with me right now, have been coaching with me for 2 years, not making six figures. The question is are you giving up the right things for a short period of time to be able to live the life that you want? And that requires endurance. It absolutely requires endurance. So fuel your mind with Coffees with Shanda. Come join me Monday through Friday. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes I have a guest on that I think is powerful. We actually will be posting starting tomorrow a suggestion box so that I can continue to gain insight from you about what you absolutely need in your business or in your life or in your personal development to be able to grow your life, because most of the game is mental. Most of the game is mental. If you look at all my clients who, especially in our PACE Club or in our list power program, and it doesn't matter if you don't know what that is. My point is my point. If you look at my list power program or my PACE Club, they are taught the exact same thing. Why? Why are there random results? Why? Up here. The way that you are interpreting information, the way that you are taking things personal, or the way that you're letting things just fall off your back determines on how quickly you're going to grow your business, how quickly you're going to grow your life. I'll give you one last quick story and hopefully you relate to this. I paid $25,000 to figure out my schedule because I couldn't figure out how to grow the company and still have a life. And I'd done a great job for many, many years. And then when I started tipping into the multiple seven figures, and really it wasn't even about the money, it was about having my baby. I had a hard time balancing not picking up my cell phone while I was with my son. Even when I walked the beach, some of you guys have heard this story before, but when I walked the beach, I still found myself answering, Nadia, my assistant's, text messages, or going into our email system, or posting on social media. There's nothing worse than, and I'm not saying that don't capture a great moment and post it on Facebook, but if every time you're with someone you love, you're constantly posting all these moments about your exciting life on Facebook, you're actually not in your life, right? And so what I found is that I was not in my life anymore, right? I was not with my son. I was working a lot. And when I wasn't working, even though I had these hard lines to stop working, I was still on my cell phone. In fact, if you go back, you can actually find on my YouTube channel, if you look at Heartcore Dash Business, or just type in my name on YouTube, look for my cell phone hacks. Right? Because I literally take my phone and I put it into a box to be able to give me a guideline to stay in my life, because that's so important, right? But so with that being said, while I was struggling with that, I paid a friend of mine $25,000 to figure out my schedule. It worked. We figured out my schedule. A part of it was figuring out how to eat healthy. Now, I've gone to great friends of mine to lose weight, to be fit, and they've all helped. I can honestly say that I just follow their plans and they work, right? The challenge is that I was having a hard time at lunchtime sticking to a good eating plan. So my point in sharing all this with you is that I want you to see that everybody's got problems, and we all got things that have been riddling and stealing our energy for a long period of time. The food intake, doesn't matter how much you work out, you'll still be fat if you don't eat healthy. You've got to eat healthy. It is a huge part of your success. However, a lot of people think they're eating healthy, but track it. Track it. You're either not eating enough, which is something I used to do, or when you might be eating healthy, but then you're still grabbing the Terra chips that, because they're veggie chips, you somehow think they're healthy for you, right? And so they're healthier maybe than the saturated chips, but they're still chips, right? And when you look at how your body takes in food and takes nutrients out of it, that veggie chip is not exactly giving you any nutrients. Well, that was me. I grabbed the veggie chip, or I grabbed the dried mangoes. From what I understand, I'm not a nutritionist, but dried mangoes have no nutritional value to them. Well, I was eating dried mangoes to just keep myself full because it wasn't a bag of pretzels, right? And so there were a lot of things that I was doing in my diet that I knew were not right. It took me over a year I've had great chefs cook for me and drop off food. That's worked okay. I now, thank God, my great friend Natalie Jill has, introduced us to someone who's going to come and start cooking for us next week, which I'm very excited about, off of her menu and her meal plans and things like that, because I want to stay healthy and I want to eat healthy. But do you know when I started? And you should watch yesterday's Coffee with Shanda if you have not, or go to YouTube today and watch it if you didn't watch yesterday's Coffee with Shanda. I'm wearing a yellow coat. Literally, when I started this quest for eating healthy, I didn't want to spend $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month on a chef. I mean, I have the money, but I didn't want to. And how different is that when I started my company? I didn't want to put myself out there and sell and get a no. Watch what you don't want to do. Because I've spent a year battling and spending a lot of money on things that were kind of sort of would work for my fitness or my health or my food intake. And I didn't have to do that if I would have surrendered. And so I just ask you to watch what you don't want to do and pay attention to your endurance and where you quit. And if, just like in a marketing campaign, you tweak that just a little bit, you're going to find that things come together. Look in your relationships, look in your goals for this year, look in that goal that hasn't come true for a long time. Pay attention to what you haven't wanted to do and pay attention to how quickly you quit. I don't have time to go into this story, but my father is American. I was born in Canada, and I spent 3 years paying foreign national out-of-state tuition at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I never finished university, but I was close to finishing university and realized I was going to have to go back to Canada if I didn't become American. I didn't exactly want to get married to some stranger to be able to stay in America, totally out of integrity. And so what I did do is I finally had the endurance to seek out. I went to INS 3 times. I did go to immigration attorneys a few times over the course of those 3 years. And I kept having, boom, the door shut in front of me. And then I'd quit. And I'd quit for months. And then I'd come back together. And I would try it again and reach out to another immigration attorney. And then, boom, the door would close again. I would be given some information that was highly discouraging, and I'd quit. And I just leave it, and it would be on my mind. And you know when things are on your mind, they just drag you down, right? They're like weight, right? And so all of that was happening to me. I know it's probably happening to you somewhere. And then finally, the pain had gotten so much that I was either going to go back to Canada, which I didn't want to do, and live the rest of my life there, or I was going to figure this out. And so when I got determined and my endurance got strong, I took my shy little Shanda and I put her in the corner and I found my courage. And I walked up in the middle of the entire seminar on immigration and I stopped the speaker from speaking and I told him my story. I interrupted him. I didn't care. I needed to stay in the States. And he told me I was already American. Do you know that in about a month, a little bit less than a month, I had my American passport? My point in sharing that with you is that success was always available to me. The question is what's available to you right now? Freedom, love, fitness, weight loss, financial freedom. What's available to you right now that you've been chasing that maybe you haven't had the endurance or access the endurance to follow it all the way through to completion? Pay attention to that, because I hold an American passport today. And I'm here sitting in front of you living in San Diego. I'm in my beach condo right now as I'm building this beautiful home on the ocean here in San Diego. And none of this could have been true in the land of the free, which I do believe America is incredible with entrepreneurship and our ability to freely stream. There's many countries that don't allow us to freely stream. And we still have an incredible, incredible country. And I love Canada too. It's amazing. But I will say this is where my heart has always laid. So I had a heart to grow a business, I did it. Had a heart to meet my husband, I did it. Had a heart to have a baby, I did it. I had a heart to be financially free. I did it. I had a heart to live on the ocean. I did it. I had a heart to grow a huge oceanfront home. I'm doing it. My point in sharing that with you is not about me. It's about I was a shy girl who didn't know what the heck I was doing at the very beginning, like many, many other people who are facing something new. So what is the endurance that you need to up to be able to close the gap? You can have it now if you want it. Remember that. I'll see you tomorrow morning on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, which tomorrow it is Friday, which means it's Freestyle Fridays, which means that 20 minutes I will be answering your question on Freestyle Fridays. So please bring your questions, post them in the comment section, and we'll go to town and I'll just laser coach you on your business. I'll hot seat you, or on your personal life or your personal development. Totally up to you. Not personal life as far as dating, but your personal life as far as your mindset and that type of stuff. All right, you guys, I hope you do great today. I hope you spend a few moments just looking at your endurance, looking at where you're not wanting to take action. And remember, you can have it this week if you want to.